I don't know if this is an advertised sort of thing at every school, but
Erica Sager. Oh shit, it's Erica Sager.
Listen.
Hey guys, it's Erica. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be how to get into your dream school. And I kind of wish I had this video when I was applying to colleges. I'm sure it existed, but just something that was to the point, very honest, full of good information, which is exactly what this video will be. So if you guys are interested, please keep watching. But if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. And regardless, don't forget to like this video because it really helps me out and I appreciate it. And let's just get started. So the first tip I'm going to give you is to start early. I think about 1 out of every 5 schools offers like an early decision or an early application. So that really shows that you are serious about this school because you're only allowed to apply once, early decision. So singling out this one school kind of shows them like, hey, I'm all in. If you guys like me, please let me in, but it just shows them that you're dedicated, you're willing to start earlier than you were for other ones, and you selected that as the only one that you wanted to apply to. So a big part of getting into your dream school, other than all the requirements, is showing and demonstrating interest, and starting early definitely does that. Tip number 2, if you can, try to visit the school your junior year. This way you can confirm that you actually like it. You only know so much about a school that you research online, but when you get there, you're actually able to get a feel for the campus. And then when you're visiting these schools, go on a tour because that will show you everything you kind of need to know, and you'll learn a lot more about the application process and what they're looking for. If you can, sit in on a class. I don't know if this is an advertised sort of thing at every school, but when I visited Brown, I didn't end up applying, but when I visited, I was able to sit in on an environmental science class, and it was just really interesting to see class structures and enter different class buildings that might have not been on the tour. When you visit, make sure you're able to speak with an admissions officer or schedule a meeting with an admissions officer, but come in with a plan. Don't just walk in there and have nothing to say. Make sure you have questions about the school. Make sure you're demonstrating interest through these questions, so do a little research before. And you can kind of just ask them what else you can do to appear as a more viable candidate and everything like that. Like, a big thing about getting into a school, aside from all your qualifications, is showing that you really want to go there, and that if they picked you, you would say yes and accept, because they don't want to kind of like waste acceptances on people who aren't going to say yes. So just kind of showing that you're really interested. I wonder how many times I'm going to say interested this video, but bear with me. If you're able to visit a school and you know someone that goes there, you should ask if you can stay overnight with them. That way you can kind of get a feel for the housing, whether they live on or off campus. They might take you out. You kind of get to see a more honest view of the school, because the tour and all the admissions stuff is one thing, but actually seeing what school life is like there is another. So if you know someone there, reach out, be nice, and just ask if you can like stay over one night or something like that, and that will help you be even more sure about your decision as well. And if you can't visit the school, be sure to still keep in contact with the school via email. You can contact the admissions office and find out who your admissions officer is. I believe they're broken up on like where you're from or like different regions, and I don't know like how it is for international students, but yeah. And in addition, make sure you're checking your local calendar for college fairs, because they have representatives that go there as well, and your interest is just as demonstrated with one of them. So you're not at a loss if you can't go, but just make sure you're able to find unique ways, I guess, to interact with the school. So there's only so much you really can do that isn't academic, but make sure that you've outlined all of their scores in terms of percentiles. So like what's like the middle range for most of their students, ACT, SAT scores, high school GPAs, different things like that. There are some variables you can't really measure, like quality of the essays, but just make sure that you're allotting yourself enough time to take the tests and study to get a score that is within the range of their acceptance. So this is kind of a tip that isn't extremely relevant to high school seniors, but if a high school junior is watching this, make sure that your time in high school is specialized rather than generalized. A lot of students probably think that you have to have a sport and an activity and a language and an instrument and everything like that. But schools, I've read many articles and spoken to admissions officers, and they'd rather have a campus that is well-rounded with specialists in various areas than just having a campus population that has a bunch of people who are a little bit good at everything. So say you're into newspaper, sign up for newspaper and do that every year. Maybe do yearbook and join a writing club. Something like that where your interests are all aligned and kind of are cohesive, and that just shows that you're really strong in the literary department. And this applies to any sort of interest, whether that's language and culture or sports and leadership roles. They just kind of go hand in hand and will help you seem like a more specialized individual. Any type of optional fill in the blank on the applications should be filled if you're really serious about this school. Any optional essays, any supplements, any chance for you to show them how much they would miss out not having you. Don't be lazy, because that will come back to bite you in the butt if you don't put your all into this application. Admissions officers can tell. They read thousands upon thousands of applications on a yearly basis, so they're well versed with who put in the time and who didn't. So just make sure that you're putting your best foot forward and doing everything that appears as optional, but if you want to get in, it's kind of necessary. A kind of, I guess, unique tip, but very close to this generation, is before you apply to a school, Google yourself and make sure there's not anything like really bad out there, like Facebook or Twitter posts from like 5 to 10 years ago, I guess. Just kind of make sure that when you look yourself up, there's nothing that colleges would find that will make you look bad. So yeah. That's such a, I guess, like 2000s problem, but you should really take it seriously. So before you apply and actually send in your application, make sure you're reading the details very carefully. You don't want to mess anything up. You want to make sure that everything is in its correct place, and just make sure you read your application so you don't make any mistakes, because you can't go back and edit it and it will make you look careless to them, even if you didn't mean to. That's just kind of how they see it. And when you're about to send in your application, make note of the date and time that it's due, and make sure that you're applying before the 11:59 p.m. cutoff, because I've submitted one at 11:59 and it did not load until 12:01 a.m. and that definitely came to bite me in the butt. So make sure that you're definitely applying at least an hour before. Applying earlier than the deadline just shows how committed you are, and it does not hurt to submit it a little earlier. And once you do apply, try not to think too much about it. Try not to romanticize the school too much, because there always are other options. So those are just some like little tips for the after part. So I just want to leave you guys with this last tip. Remember, it's not always where you go, but it's what you do with where you go. So you can go to Harvard and do absolutely nothing, but you could also go to your local community college and be extremely involved and succeed that way too. So try not to beat yourself up too much about it if you don't get in, but I really am crossing my fingers for you guys and wishing you the best. If you guys enjoyed this video, again, don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a good day. Bye guys, good luck.